Welcome to this gospel tutorial, and in this gospel tutorial I'll be showing you the VSTs and the samples I used in making the gospel production you'll be hearing shortly. Now, link to some of the samples will be included in the description, and links to purchase some of the VST used in this production will also be included. Now, if you like the production and you want to also learn some of the chord progression, I made the MIDI video tutorial earlier, in which would also be in the description. So lastly, I'll be playing this song from the beginning to the end so that we all have an overview of everything. If you're not willing to hear everything, you can just skip to where the production starts properly. I'll be including the timestamps in this video, and I'll also be telling you on the screen where the production starts properly. So without wasting much time, let's get started. All right, so welcome to the tutorial properly. So we'll be quick about it. So the first thing I have here is a loop, and this loop sounds like this after adding EQ and everything. So take note, whatever you'll be hearing here is already mixed and actually mastered. So I just want to show you the sounds and the VST to know the particular sound actually used before mixing it. So that's a basic loop, and you can get this loop from my loop bundle, so you can check the description for that. Now, moving to the drums, it's actually from Additive Drums. I actually made it from Black Velvet to actually change some sounds to actually get what I want. So that's one amazing thing about Additive Drum. I'll solo the drums alone from Additive so that you can hear that. Yeah, this is definitely after mixing actually and panning them. So what I did to make the drum sound fuller was that I actually added another kick to hit, which was a thicker kick. Then I added a thicker snare to hit. In fact, I actually made use of three snare. I know it sounded weird, but it was based on what I actually wanted. So I actually added a snare rim, and another snare was a thick snare. And the next snare was to add more attack to the snare. So they were all doing different thing and EQ differently. So this is not a mixing video, so I won't go into details on how I did that. So it sounded like this when I added the other sample replacement. So you could see the difference when I actually did take out the sample replacement I actually added. Now these samples were replaced with Studio One default impact, and I actually used drum agog for it. I think the snare rim. So it's actually a very easy thing to do, but this video won't cover it. So if you want to learn about that, I might make a video about that later. So the next thing on the list is the piano. And now this piano is Grand Echo from Expand. So you could actually check it out. It's a very nice piano I use a lot. So it sounds like this. So if you want to learn what the piano was playing throughout the song, you could check the description for the video cover that should display the MIDI. So the next thing I added was this RB piano, and this RB piano was from Stage 1.4, and the idea was to actually just thinking the piano up and make it much more heavy. So it sounded like this. All right, so you get the idea. So together, they both sound like this. So you could see the body, the RB piano added to that. So moving on to the bass, before the major bass came in, I added a sample that slided the bass up like this. So it was just a basic sample. Then I had the major bass, and this my bass was majorly from Modo bass. So if you follow me well, you'll know that I use Modo bass a lot for gospel. And this particular bass is Imperial bass, just like you can see on the screen. So it sounded like this. So let me skip it to where it was a bit active. So it's actually a nice bass. You want to check it out. So actually, it was the same bass, but I actually split it into two because I wanted to do something different with the bass at the intro since when it had more low ends. But this is not a mixing tutorial, so I'll skip that. Now, the next thing I added here was a guitar pick, and this guitar pick was actually from Synth, and the name is Steel Twin, so you could check it out on Synth. It sounded like this. Very nice. So it's actually very, very beautiful. And the next thing I added was this guitar soft, and it was a sample. I don't know where I picked it from, but it was majorly playing chord. It wasn't that smooth, but in the song, it added a lot of body to it. So what I did was that I had for major chord and minor chord. So I pitched them to the notes I wanted and use some EQ to clean things up. So it gave me that. So it sounded like this together with the guitar pick. So if you're using your headphone, you could hear that it's already panned left and right. So the next thing I added was this guitar strum, and the guitar strum was just a sample, and it came in here. So if you're wondering how I came about this from samples, is actually just chop them up, pitch them to node, join them together, find a way to fade in and fade out, and I got this. So I'm not going too deep into that. So in the old song, it sounds like this. So sometimes some details are subtle, but when you take them out, you feel the impact. So the next thing is this production pad, and it was from Korg Triton, and it was one pad, and it was just playing something basic all throughout the song. It sounded like this. So the next one was this analog pad that was actually playing the progression, but it was from Synth analog pad. So you could check that out. So it sounded like this. All right, so it might be sounding on one ear because it's actually already panned. So the next pad was this breath pad from Synth also. Now, the idea of this pad was that one was thicker than the other, one was following the progression, and one was like a layer for others to sit on. So it's important when you're choosing your sound, you choose things that complement each other. So the three sounds like this. Now, for my organ, I actually make use of IK Multimedia Beat 3 organ. You might see 3 organs or even 4 because there were different drawbar settings I actually did for different things so that it can give me the particular feel I want. So this is the first organ for the intro. It sounded like this. So if I play with the song, you'll get the way it sounds. So that's that for that organ. So I had another organ here, which was like a lick. I did another setting for that. It sounded like this. When the song came in, I had another organ that was a softer organ. Yeah. So it sounded like this. So, knowing the type of sound you want in a particular section is very, very important. So in the old song, it sounds like this. So the major organ was just the basic organ, high and all of that. So this came in where the whole song got fuller. So this particular organ, had the high end and the modulation wheel was on, but it was all from IK Multimedia. So it sounded like this. So you could see they really had roles to play in the whole song. So the next one was my synth. Now the first one I had was this distorted guitar. You could find it in Expand, and I use it a lot. It sounds like this. So the next one was this Evon guitar that I added with this distorted guitar to give it more body. So you can find it in stage 1.4. It sounded like this. So with the distorted guitar, it sounds like this. So it was like both of them were playing different thing. But one thing you must note is that I've already mixed this and I've panned it because there was a lot of phasing issue and some notes were clashing. So I had to use EQ to put things on their right spot and give space for others to shine. So the next one is this mini lead, and I got this mini lead from Korg Triton. I love Korg collections a lot. So you can check it out, Korg Triton mini lead. It's actually very nice. The next one was this in the night. Yeah, I used a lot of synth to make it very heavy. Now, this in the night was from Synth 1.4. It's one of the most popular synth used mostly in gospel. So it sounded like this. So you get the idea. So the next one was this source synth. Now, this source synth was actually from Synthage also. So the name of the synth is Sawyer Synth. So you can find it on Synthage 1.4. So it sounded like this. So the last one was this distorted wah, but it was, I think, this wah, just like you can see this wah. I took it from Synthage also. So you can find it in Synthage 1.4. It sounded like this. So if I solo all the synths together, it sounds like this. It sounds very heavy. So one thing you want to take note when learning synths like this is that you want to keep little variations in the sound and actually what they are playing so that it sounds much more cohesive together. So before I move to the next synth, let me play it with the whole song so we hear what we have. So here we had some additional new synths, and this was lead smooth, and it was also from Synthage 1.4. So it sounded like this. So it came in around this point. All right. So the next one was this power hook, and it was also from Synthage 1.4. It sounded like this. So if I take it out when the song is playing, you feel that something just left out of the song. Next part is the bell. Now, this bell was from Synthage 1.4. Fortunately, I used a lot of Synthage sounds in this production, and it is the J-pop bell. So it sounds like this. So this Synthage was basically accenting most of the key melodies in the whole song. Then I actually added another kind of bell sound, which was Heaven. I think it was from Synthage also, Synthage 1.4, to also make it thicker and fuller. So it sounded like this. So while the first bell was playing a single note, this was actually playing chords to make it much more fuller. So the next thing I added was this orchestra hit. Now this orchestra hit was from a Roland or Xenology VST, and the orchestra hit was just to highlight key points in the song, like key syncopations. So let me just solo it alone so you hear how it sounds. So it was subtle, but if you take it out in the song, you feel that something is missing. So So let me repeat that without it. So that was what the orchestra it was doing majorly. So the next part was the string section that came in majorly at this point. So the main string was from Korg Triton and its analog velvet. Yeah, these strings were already mixed, also had some effect and some EQ thrown on it, but this major sound was from analog velvet. Then the solo string, which was actually playing single notes, it was different from the main string, which was majorly playing chord throughout the song, was from Xenology. And you could find it. The name is XV string, just like you can see on the screen, Xenology. Then the violin was also from Xenology, AX violin. And the last one, which was a cello, was also from Xenology AX cello. So the three together sounds like this. So the violin alone was playing this. Then the cello was playing this. So if you understand how parts works, you should be able to figure out that. The next thing is some of these samples are added that give the song the flair. Number one is this deep boom here when the song came in. So it gave that song that attack. Then this crescendo. At least if you do gospel, you should know that. Then there's this water effects. Yeah. So they were subtle, but they added a lot of details to the song. Also, I added a chime. Unfortunately, it's mixing in this project, but it's just a basic chime. Then I added some risers, just a basic riser. I added another rise here also. So then these shakers, nothing special. It was a pan. That was how it came in. I didn't pan it actually. So it moves from the left to the right. Then I added this FS crush here. Then I added this flap somewhere here in the song. Let me just play it from here. So without that clap there, it will have sounded so empty. Then the last was a clap at the end also. Yeah. So that was it for the whole song. So maybe in another section, I'll be breaking down how I actually mixed the drums actually. So thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe.